launching a vessel called the Silverhawk, and as you'll know, the keel is put down and various parts are put on, and inevitably, because of the way the launch is done, the launch stern first, and that's where most of the weight is. And because it's been down for a long time, it compresses the caps underneath. And when you come to launch the vessel, the centerline caps have to be split out to take the weight on the sliding ways so that the ship can slide down into the sea. You usually start at the after end and get them off and then work your way forward. And humanity being what it is, everybody takes the time on the after end and then tries to leapfrog so that you get the lighter and lighter weight as you go forward. It makes the job easier if you can do it. And I was working with a mate, it was Joe Nugent, and we split out and we got up near the forward end, and there was one particular cap which had been compressed that much that the lads were having great difficulty. And there was 4 lads working on it: Jimmy Spriggs, Jerry Murphy, Roy Johnson, and I think the other guy was Tommy Bamber. And Joe and I were doing one of the lighter ones up top, up forward, and Stainthorpe come up, Ernie Stainthorpe, the head foreman. So when you finish that, go and give them a hand. So as we went down, they were literally tired. They were spent because there was that much weight on the ship. Everything either side had come and the ship was just compressing the block. So when we took over, they stepped out the way and moved. They went forward, and Joe and I continued to split the last cap out. When it was finished, because the launchways have a spreader bar after end and a spreader bar forward, the process is to then level all the beds so that they come down below the standing ways. So when the ship is launched, it will carry on down. As we finished, and then the red leaders will go in and they'll put a coat of red lead where the cap has been so that they can protect it when it gets into the river. So when we finished the splitting out, we dropped the top blocks and I turned to start walking forward, and Joe hung on to give them a hand to move a couple of the blocks which had become entangled on the side that he was on. I think he was actually on the starboard side and I was on the port side. I walked forward, and as I walked forward, I could see the daylight underneath the spreader bar starting to increase. And I thought, what's that about? I'm going forward, it should be decreasing rather than increasing. Anyway, the next thing, I realised that the ship had moved and was starting to move down. So I shouted down to the lads at the after end to get down because the ship was moving. And one of the by this time it started to carry. And one of the red leaders panicked and went to dive out between the sliding ways and the keel of the ship. Fortunately for him, Joe pulled him back and threw him to the floor, and they lay down. And the ship continued down, and because we laid all the blocks below the standing ways, the spreader bar never caught anything. It went right over to them. But one of the funniest bits, before I get to the serious bit, was one of the managers was running down the slipway after the ship, shouting, "Don't try to stop it, let it go." Well, I'd like to know how anybody can stop a 40,000-ton vessel on a slope once she started to manoeuvre. So I was just shaking my head and then ran back down to see everybody was all right. And the lads who'd been right at the after end and had had the full length of the ship pass over them were pretty shaken up. But every one of them was okay. The real irony of it was that a couple of weeks later, there was a vessel being launched in Canada. And because of the size of the river or the canal, the lake, wherever she was being launched, she had drag chains on her. And the drag chains are used to slow the vessel down as she gets into the river. Unfortunately, something similar happened. She went before she was due to, and there were still people underneath. And the drag chains dragged a load of the workers into the lake, and they were killed. So that made it even more poignant a couple of weeks earlier when we had very successfully avoided injury, never mind death. I mean, there was another incident where, on the last occasion, or the last time I worked in Cammell Lairds, we were building 2 submarines, and they'd been taken over by Vickers from Barrow. They'd built the prototype, and we were building the following 2. And one of the vessels was called HMS Unseen. And unfortunately, similar circumstances are always there. On the day that she was due to be launched, there's a big ceremony, as everybody knows, and people are coming up, Admiralty, and the ship, luckily there was nobody underneath it on that occasion, but the ship just didn't hold, and she carried away, and there was a bit of fog on the river, and so the ship was eventually named HMS Unseen. And it was rather funny that the people walking up were looking to see where the ship was, and she was gone. And we said she's following her name, HMS Unseen.